What's up, everybody? My name is Thomas with World Animal Foundation. The name of the game today is choosing the best GPS fence for dealing with forests and power outages. Now, when we say forest, we're talking about heavy tree canopies, and obviously power outages means power going out. You lose things like Wi-Fi, maybe a local cell tower, things of that nature, and you want a GPS fence that's reliable no matter what happens. If the power goes out, or if you have a very heavy tree canopy out in your backyard or your front yard or wherever it is that whatever real estate you cover with your invisible fence for your GPS smart collar. So that being said, let's dig in. There's no arguing the fact that GPS is best when you have a clear and open sky. I think that anybody who has dealt with GPS navigation and has lost their GPS signal on the way have experienced something along those lines. A clear, unobstructed sky helps the signal reach the satellite or get from the satellite to the collar in question. Now, the challenges that these GPS smart collars face is getting up underneath a tree canopy, and that tree canopy serves as, let's say, if you're looking at something that would otherwise be an unobstructed view and somebody puts a wall in your way. That's kind of what the tree canopy is doing. It's blocking the GPS signals that need to get to the collar, and especially if it's a very thick tree canopy, I mean, the more dense it is, obviously, the more signals that it blocks. There's more than one signal coming down through the tree canopy, so it can block multiple different signals at the same time. A good GPS receiver antenna will filter out those inferior signals and only allow in the superior signals. In fact, that's exactly how the SpotOn works with what is called forest mode. Now, forest mode is automatically turned on, and you can manually go in and turn it off if you want to, even though I don't see why you would bother. It's automatically turned on as a default setting with your SpotOn GPS collar, and what it does is it eliminates signals that have been interfered with as they're trying to pass through the tree canopy. It eliminates those and only accepts the strongest signal you can get. At any time, the SpotOn GPS fence dog collar connects to 4 global satellite systems. So there's at least 25 to 30 satellites that it's connected to at all times. It has a dual antenna. One is for cell, one is for satellite. And the way the collar is designed, it shifts that antenna to the top of the dog's neck, so it has an unobstructed view from the top of the dog's neck to the sky. The only thing sitting in between is the tree canopy. And since it separates out those interfering signals, and it's also connected to so many different satellites, it has enough to be able to pull in the stronger signals and continue to give you an accurate reading. How exactly do we break this down? How does the SpotOn work to get better accuracy under these tree canopies? Well, first off, like I said, the collar's design shifts the antenna to the top of the dog's neck, and as you can see here, you've got your 2 bulky sections of the collar. All right, that's where your weight is. This small bulky section, this is the dual antenna, which receives cell signals and GPS signals, one for each. Now, the weight of this constantly pulls it this way, so unless you've got the collar so tight that you're strangling your dog, which you definitely don't need to be doing, it's naturally going to shift around the dog's neck so that this stays up with the weight pulling this down. So that creates an unobstructed view, number one. It's important that that GPS signal is not traveling through your dog's neck, because that makes things even worse when you add in the tree canopy above. Now, with the SpotOn using a high-quality dual-feed antenna, it helps it parse out the information that is unneeded or the weak information and only take in the strong information, which is what you want in a smart collar. Now, it communicates with 4 global satellite systems. Now, that breaks down to about 25 to 30 satellites each, and any one of those could drop on one end and pick up on another. That's another way the collar continues to function under a heavy tree canopy, because no matter what, there are so many different satellites that it has access to, that it has enough to pick up the strong signals coming in and avoid the weak signals. Now, if it was only communicating with a few satellites here or there, then it would be more of an issue, obviously. The active antenna is also noise resistant, so that's part of the filtration process as well. Not only that, but it's an active antenna. Active antennas incorporate amplifiers, and these amplifiers either boost signals going out or boost signals coming in. Now, in the case of the SpotOn, it's signals coming in. Passive antennas, which are in a lot of smart collars on the market today, they obviously don't amplify anything. They don't have an amplifier in them, so they're really made for very specific applications, and in a lot of cases they're not as functional, at least not to a high quality degree, as the SpotOn with its dual feed active antenna. And that's part of what makes those collars cheaper and a little more budget friendly on the market. Some of them still work okay, but there's nothing at the end of the day that, as far as the smart collars are concerned, that compares with an active antenna. Now, SpotOn uses what's a patented true location technology. They call it their true location technology. And this true location technology enables the SpotOn to remain accurate to within 3 feet, updating every 6 seconds. So every 6 seconds you get an exact update of where the dog is or where the collar is, if you're out there testing it or something along those lines. But this true location technology, of course with SpotOn, they're going to claim that they're better than other collars on the market. But the true location technology, according to SpotOn, makes them 7 times more accurate than any other smart collar on the market. Now, of course, you got to take that with a grain of salt until you realize that an independent lab has done a study on all of these different smart collars, and this lab was called Spirent, S-P-I-R-E-N-T, and determined that SpotOn's claims were indeed accurate. This true location technology does indeed locate your dog down to 3 to 4 feet. I would say 4 feet, or at least it feels that way. I never actively measure it when I'm out there. I'm just kind of gauging it with my eye distance. But within 3 feet, and updates every 6 seconds. Now, that has been confirmed by an independent study. Now, as an additional tip, and if you're working with a SpotOn GPS fence system, I highly advise you to create a home zone. Whether the power is out or you're dealing with a heavy tree canopy, you've got a reliable smart collar, but you need it to stop correcting your dog when the dog comes inside. I can't overstate how important that is. Your dog will lose all confidence in the collar if he gets shaken up by a vibrating or high-pitched tone collar every time he or she comes inside the house. So definitely turn on that home zone. It'll help you out immensely. Now, when it comes to power outages, you have a few different issues going on. Some may happen at the same time as others. It's hard to say. It just depends on the severity of the power outage and exactly what caused it. You got a cell tower down. That's obviously problematic in a number of ways, since the SpotOn and a lot of other smart collars out there use cell technology to communicate. The SpotOn in particular uses universal cells, so that gives it a leg up already. Because if the closest tower goes down, but you still have somewhat of a signal from another tower, even if it's from a different provider, the collar will automatically switch to that. Now, another challenge you run into is a lot of smart collars use what are called base stations. And these base stations they stay in the house. It's kind of like the hub of a smart home. And when the power goes out, obviously the base station goes out. Also, you lose Wi-Fi. A lot of these collars depend on Wi-Fi and that communication, especially in and around your home area, close to, the source of your Wi-Fi. So with the Wi-Fi down, with cell down, with a base station down, a lot of these smart collars out there pretty much just lose functionality altogether. Now, some of them may become partially functional, and some of them may lose more than others. It just really depends on the smart collar that we're talking about. But SpotOn gets around this with what's called an off-grid mode. Now, if everything hits the fan, if the proverbial hits the fan, and you've lost your Wi-Fi, you don't have any cell coverage or anything of that nature, you can flip on off-grid mode and you can build a fence, a single fence, not more than one, but you can build a single fence that will work to contain your dog so long as that collar is charged. And if you need to charge the collar with a portable battery or generator or whatever it may be, you're going to get 24, 25 hours with it before it needs a charge again. So it will continue to operate just like normal with off-grid mode, and you don't need a subscription for that addition either. You just have to turn it on within the app. Now, the good thing about off-grid mode is when you turn it back off, your fence that you created remains there. So if this power outage occurs again in the future, all you have to do is open up the app and toggle it right back on, and boom, your fence is already set up and ready to go. So ultimately, you can see the value of going with a high quality, accurate smart collar like SpotOn. Not only that, but SpotOn has been independently tested and confirmed that their claims are true. Like I said earlier, obviously when you see claims like that on TV or an advertisement, your first response is to not believe it, because of course they're going to claim they're better. But when you have an independent analysis determining that the point is valid, then you're working with something else altogether. There's a lot of value and a lot of reliability or dependability in these collars. And you want them to be reliable in all conditions, no matter what happens. When the power goes out, you need your collar to remain functioning, because the dogs still have to go outside. Just because, the power it's not just a rainstorm that can knock the power out, a thunderstorm that can knock the power out. There are a lot of reasons the power can go down, and the dogs still need to go outside and do their thing. They still need to exercise. I personally have been through a hurricane that knocked the power out for 2 weeks. Now, that was years ago, but it did happen. We were not prepared. Our area was not prepared for it, and the grid was down for 2 weeks. And then, at the very end of summer in Florida, that's extremely hot and miserable weather, and it was miserable. But we didn't have these smart collars back then. But we did have generators and things of that nature. We were able to, keep ourselves at least somewhat comfortable throughout the time period. And those same generators could today be used to keep a SpotOn collar charged. But anyway, all of that being said, it's very important to pick up or to pick the right collar for your dog, one that's going to operate through thick and thin. No matter what happens, you still have that assurance and that peace of mind. So I appreciate everybody checking out the video today. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button on your way out. Feel free to comment in the below section. I always try to jump on there and answer any questions, comments, and concerns you may have. Again, thanks for watching, and everybody have a fantastic day.